Good evening. I'd like to call the Lincoln Way Community High School District 210 Board of Education regular meeting for May 16, 2024 to order. Please stand for the pledge if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can you please call the roll?
Dana Bartholt.
Here.
Katherine Johnson.
Here.
Joseph Kostick.
Here.
Richard Lacine.
Here.
Caitlin Olenek.
Here.
Deidre Stokes. Aaron Janik.
Here. All right, first up on the agenda is the Student Council Presidents. Who would like to go first?
Is that the right button? Hopefully. Good evening. I'm here to share the recent accomplishments and notable events at West. We have seen success across athletics, arts, and other clubs, making it easy to be proud of our Warriors in every area. I'd like to begin by acknowledging our successful season of winter sports, highlighted by Zoe Dempsey. She placed 5th at the IHSA Girls State Wrestling Tournament and earned the distinguished title of the first female in our school's history to achieve all-state honors in wrestling. The Warriors have also had a successful spring season. Our girls' track and field team has had a successful season, and we have athletes representing Lincoln Way West in 3 different events at the IHSA State Finals. West also had 2 girls varsity badminton athletes qualify for the IHSA State Tournament. Girls soccer is competing in the regional tournament this week. In the realm of arts and extracurricular activities, the West Theater members put on an impressive showing of the Matilda the Musical. The theater department recognized their esteemed members the following weekend at their annual Westies Award Night. This year's prom was a magical night with an enchanted forest theme at Tuscany Falls. Our mathletes shined at the state competition held at Illinois State University, and our students across all grade levels have been diligently preparing for their final exams. We are proud to announce that we had 3 students earn first place in welding fabrication at the Skills USA State Championships. Additionally, the Warrior Way program recently honored 4 of our retiring classroom teachers, celebrating their contributions to education and our community. Finally, Student Council actively supported the community and the school through a snack drive for Gigi's Playhouse and acts of gratitude for Teacher Appreciation Week. With the school year coming to a close, we have had many exciting events, such as the Best Buddies talent show, the social at Zachary's Bread Barn, yearbook distribution, and the senior celebration where our very own Dr. Robbins served pancakes. As this is my last presentation before I graduate this weekend, I would like to express my love for Lincoln Way. Each milestone made by the individuals and groups at West reflects the hardworking values and community of our school. In the fall, I will be attending Colorado State University, where I will study mechanical engineering. I am beyond grateful for this opportunity, and I will always be proud to be a Warrior. Thank you.
Wait a minute, Ellie, not quite done yet. Little token of our appreciation, congratulations. You already told us what you're going to do next year, so congratulations and thank you. If you just come forward. Congratulations, good luck.
Good evening. We have had a very exciting past few weeks at Central to wrap up the 2023-24 school year. Last weekend, we hosted an incredibly special Night at Gatsby's themed prom at Denolfo's, and it was a huge success. The nights dressed to impress and spent the night dancing to good music, laughing with friends, and spending time celebrating the last few moments of the school year. For our seniors especially, there has been a lot of fun to be had in our building. Yesterday, everyone wore shirts indicating their life after Lincoln Way and participated in our annual signing day, placing a pin on the map of where we'll be next year, taking pictures with friends, and proudly displaying our pennants. It is a very special moment for the seniors to reflect on 4 years at Central, where we are right now, and look excitedly to what lies ahead. We also enjoyed our senior picnic today, filled with music, specially cooked food off the grill, and ice cream from the creamery. It was the perfect way to wrap up our senior year, and we're looking forward to graduation on Saturday. On the athletic side, the spring athletes have been a force to be reckoned with. Girls softball, girls track, and boys track are all SWSC conference champs. Boys tennis ended second in conference and had numerous all-conference nominations. Our girls soccer team is excited to take on Sandburg in the regional final tomorrow night, and our boys baseball team has had 3 big wins against highly ranked opponents like Lincoln Way West and Joliet Catholic. The Knights are excited to finish their season strong and hopefully bring home some hardware. Looking ahead, Welcome Crew and Link Crew are finalizing their central leaders and are excited to begin preparing for the upcoming school year. Our student council is also ahead of the game, hoping to have a school-wide vote on Monday to select a homecoming theme already for next year. With fun events, strong athletics, and dedicated clubs and organizations, the 2023-24 school year is ending just as we started, with high energy and a lot of night pride. I'd like to close by saying thank you. It has been such a privilege to represent Central as Student Council President this year. I am incredibly proud of our school, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share all of our activities, athletic achievements, community service, and excitement with you all. We truly appreciate your leadership, support, and all you do for both the students and community. Next year, I have the privilege of attending Boston College, where I will be studying history on a pre-law track. I'm very excited, but Central will always be my home. Good night.
Starting it that way. There you go. Yep. Congratulations. Good luck to you. There you go. Congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Summer Muhsin, and for the final time, I have some Lincoln Way East news for you all. But before we wrap this year up, I would like to introduce to you the new Student Council President who will be taking over next year. She has been an executive member of Student Council for 3 years now, and we're all looking forward to seeing her take action next year. Please give it up for Elena Vargas, who is standing over there. She is really awesome. Second semester has been full of tremendous accomplishments at East. First of all, I want to mention last month's Miracle Makers event. Students and sponsors had games, food, raffles, and fun while their guest speakers and families talked about their experience at Lurie's. They raised over $10,000 for Lurie Children's Hospital. Also, in the spirit of volunteering and giving back to the community, the Lincoln Way East girls soccer team volunteered at Navarro Farm, which is a place dedicated to giving special opportunities to people with special needs. In more May news, Lincoln Way East kicked off our special games week last week with Spirit Days dedicated to our students who have looked forward to these exciting challenges and competitions. The highlight of the week was seeing everyone in their fun spirit wear taking pictures at our photo booth in the cafeteria. Students and staff enjoyed beautiful weather as they competed in a variety of sports and activities showcasing their unique skills. This past weekend, the May memories continued as many of our junior and senior students overtook the Lincoln Park Zoo in downtown Chicago. Prom 2024 proved itself to be quite the adventure as students enjoyed the beautiful weather, exceptional food, and amazing exhibits. It was an extraordinary night and a much-needed break for our seniors who are being sent off tomorrow at our annual senior picnic. Amid the fun, Lincoln Way East honored seniors with scholarships from all over the community. Senior Scholarship Night is a chance for seniors to be recognized for their achievements, talents, and persistence. They embodied these qualities and actions all year and were honored with a ceremony commemorating the start of their lives after high school. All amazing news aside, the Griffins worked endlessly all year round towards a summer break they had earned. The future is near and it is promising, but the experiences and moments in time could not have been possible without all of you. So thank you for allowing me to be here today and speak on behalf of the school I call home. I love meeting new faces and sharing the details that unite this district. I hope you all have a long and restful summer break. Thank you.
Plans for next year?
I will be attending the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and I will be studying political science and hopefully journalism on a pre-law track. So, yes.
All right, best of luck to all three of you next year, and thank you for your reports this year. Thank you. All right, next up, we have the Read for a Lifetime Student Recognition.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Broman Bender from Lincoln Way West High School Library. Read for a Lifetime is a statewide high school reading program. Illinois high schools receive a list of 25 book titles. Students who read at least 4 titles receive a certificate of achievement from Illinois Secretary of State and State Librarian Alexi Janulius. The highest recognition is given to any student who reads all 25 titles for all 4 years of high school. Lincoln Way, as a district, has the highest student participation in the state. At Lincoln Way West, we had 68 participants in the Read for a Lifetime program, with 62 students and 6 staff members completing the requirements. A total of 585 books were read. 12 students and 1 teacher read all 25 books on this year's list. 8 students participated all 4 years of high school. We are also excited to announce that West had 2 students who read all 100 books in the program during their 4 years of high school. Those students are Caitlin Ryan, who will be attending Butler University studying psychology and criminology, and Samantha Olson, who could not be here today, who will be attending Joliet Junior College and then moving forward to study 3D modeling and animation. Now I would like to introduce Aileen Cochet from Lincoln Way Central.
Good evening. This year, Lincoln Way Central had 62 total participants in the Read for a Lifetime program, with 55 students and 7 staff members completing the requirements. A total of 485 books were read. We had 8 students and 1 teacher read all 25 books this year. 4 of our students participated all 4 years of their high school career. We didn't have any 100 Title Club inductees this year, but we have a strong class coming in a few years, so watch out. Now I would like to introduce Mrs. Seaman from Lincoln Way East.
Thank you. This year, I will agree, we have a strong freshman class, and we are rebounding from the pandemic, where we saw a little bit of a slump. But I think that's a testament to the senior class this year, especially those who earned the 100 Title Club because they came in during a pandemic year. They did not start, so they were able to, from their reading teachers, English teachers, get the list from our local libraries, and being remote, were able to get the list and start reading and get well on their way towards the 100 titles. So at East this year, we read a total of 1,160 books. There were 213 total participants. 14 were 4-year seniors. We were honoring them with a little breakfast. 31 students read all 25 titles this year. When I said the freshman class, 17 of them were from the freshman class. Very strong group. We'll see how many of them last all 4 years. 1 staff member read all 25 titles. We can always count on Carol McCorkle to read all 25 books every year. So if you ever want to know anything about any of the books on the list, talk to Carol. 200 Title Club recipients this year. Nicholas Smithville could not be here today. He will be attending the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, majoring in lyric theater, minoring in music education. He hopes to be either a performer or a music teacher. We also have Sierra Chonaki, who's here, and she's going to be attending Joliet Junior College to study fire science and to pursue firefighting. Thank you.
Thank you. And I probably haven't read 1 book in a year, so it's pretty impressive.
Thank you for your efforts, ladies. Thank you.
All right, we have no one signed up for public comment, so we'll move right into the consent agenda. We have items E1 through E8. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on any of the items in the consent agenda? Hearing none, can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up under action items, we have the presentation of invoices for April 19th, 2024 through May 16th, 2024.
Motion to approve invoices in the amount of $3,178,017.74.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Mike, just one, the insurance claims, they look to be a little lower?
They are. And remember now, because we moved dental over to Blue Cross Blue Shield, whenever you see this, this is combined medical and dental, so this was a good month.
Okay. I was gonna say, that looks a little lower. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, can you please open the vote? All right, next up is the treasurer's report for April 2024.
Revenues totaled $3.6 million in April, and expenses totaled $8.1 million. Cash balance at the close of the month was just over $17 million. Operating revenues and expenses are both trending appropriately. As you can see in Section 2 of tonight's cover memo, both revenues and expenses are trending about 2% better than at this time last year. Interest returns remain strong. The Fed has now communicated a, quote, higher for longer narrative. That is after 3 consecutive months where CPIs come in higher than they initially had expected. And so the rates remain high. We are still at that 5.4%, which is great. There isn't a whole lot else to report as we are in our cash low point for the year. Cash variance was positive this month, $745,000. Bills payable from ed and transportation were lower, but they were higher in previous months, so that's offsetting. And then looking ahead, as I mentioned last month, we are evaluating adding a couple of local regional banks to our list of authorized depositories. We haven't made changes to that for a few years. I do feel it might be a good time to diversify that a little bit. Having some additional close by partners for some of our weekly smaller transactions provides some flexibility at our building levels. So we'll continue to look at that, and then we'll bring that annual list in June. Also in June, I will bring the annual O&M agreement with District 843. We plan to just adjust it by inflation, but that's being incorporated into the preliminary FY25 budget. And then finally, tax revenues, as you know, we will receive in May and June, and so we're working proactively with PMA on investment options. That's all I have.
All right, any questions for Mike? Will we need to amend our budget? I believe you said last month we were going to have to do that. When would we be doing it?
It's on the agenda later tonight.
Oh.
You're good.
All right, well, that's good foresight by me, I guess. All right, no other questions, then can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up, we have the student activities report for April 2024.
Student activities is in your backup materials. The fund balance is $2,661,321 with revenues of $611,898 and expenditures of $315,228. There are 5 that are in the negative. Timing differences, basketball will be collecting summer camp and fees for all their summer leagues. They've already paid those out. Band at Central's $100, and then we've paid, and now we'll collect from the from the ticket sales from prom. So we should be in pretty good shape.
All right, any questions on the student activity report? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the student activities report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
Hey, what do you know, the tentative
There it is.
amended budget 2024. I guess these things aren't working too well, so.
Before Mike jumps in, I want to just briefly, we're able to put something like this together because of the details of Mike and Kelly and how well they've done on the financial side of things. So to be as accurate as we are right now, as we kind of come through May and enter June, we know pretty close to the dollar where we're gonna end up in certain areas. So to account for some of this and for some of the changes that we've discussed throughout the years, you know, we talk about transparency all the time, but this does give a truer picture of what occurred during the year, and then this will mirror what comes back in our audit. So with that, Mike, go ahead and take us some of the overviews here.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Tingley. Mr. Janik, you are right. This will be adopted next month. So this is simply presented in
I was
tentative
wrong.
form
I
tonight.
just-
So, nope, you're good. So, as you know, this has been in development. We knew we would likely amend this from the get-go with expenses from Lincoln Way North and then the revenue coming in from Lockport. I've included several detailed reports in your packet materials tonight. This is primarily an accounting exercise. Since we have discussed the big buckets over the last few months, I'm going to highlight those tonight and then open it up for questions you can ask along the way. If you would open up the cover memo attachment in this agenda item, my discussion points are included within that document. The initial fiscal year 24 budget that the board adopted in September included an operating surplus of just over $2 million. If you will remember, there was a planned deficit in the transportation fund of about $350,000. That was after Summit Hill left Lincoln Way Transportation. We retained our staff, though, to improve transportation services and provide better staffing for our other districts, and we had the bus leases. So we knew we would see that deficit this year. Overall, though, the operating surplus was sufficient. We had $3 million for capital projects as the transfer this year, and we maintained the 33% operating surplus. So all is good. Since September, I know you're aware of our most notable changes. As I said, the cleaning and operational costs for Lincoln Way North and the Lockport rent. We've had higher than planned interest income from investments. Electricity costs, I think I mentioned this last month, they've been trending higher this year, but natural gas trending lower. It's to our advantage to true that up now, I feel, because that gives us a more accurate picture as we start planning for fiscal year 25's budget. And then the workers' compensation insurance true-ups that I've discussed in the tort fund. On page 2 of this memo, you can see both revenue and expenditure changes by fund from the original to the amended budget. And on page 3, you can see the expenditure changes by expense type, salaries, benefits, supplies, so on and so forth. These changes overall, and we tried to limit them to the ones that were most material, but these changes overall, as you can see back on the bottom of page 1, lead to an operating surplus of $2,454,411. The deficit in the transportation fund has now been reduced, and that surplus interest income, I think, Mr. Janik, you asked this last month, has been placed primarily into Fund 60 for building improvements. And our operating fund balances are still maintained at 33%. So all good news. If you scroll to the second half of page 3, I will very quickly highlight some of the other adjustments that, as long as we're going through this, it made sense to update these. On the revenue side, there have been some changes to the federal government's allocation methodology for Medicaid reimbursements, and so we went ahead and adjusted that line item. Additionally, as I mentioned, the comptroller had paid in a more timely fashion some of our quarterly transportation reimbursements, leading to lower revenue this fiscal year. So we've updated that. Similar adjustments based on timing for ESSER reimbursements. On the expense side, we did move up Fund 60 capital expenses. Excuse me. Those were increased, again, from those interest revenues, and those are helping to pay for what we're calling Phase 1 of our partial library enhancements. Adjustments made on timing of invoices between the district and Will County for SRO services. Nothing of concern, no service changes or cost changes, just a timing difference. And then we did make some small adjustments to salaries and benefits to refine them. Not big dollars, but it gives me a better picture where I think we're going to end with salaries and benefits so I can plan for the FY25 budget. As you know, that's our largest expense. One-page summary is hyperlinked at the bottom of page 3. If you open that, I did highlight a number in green. That's the operating surplus. The yellow cell is that 33%, so you can see that operating fund balance is maintained. And then the other hyperlink is the book detail for the entirety of the amended budget. I think there are some members of the board who were not on the board the last time we amended a budget. This is done when it's necessary, but not necessarily every year. So for those who weren't here, the rules are very straightforward. It's identical to adopting the budget in the fall. And so we need to issue notice of a public hearing, put the amendment on public display for 30 days, and then what would happen at the June meeting is we would hold the hearing, and then pending board support later in the meeting, you would then adopt formally the amendment. So that's all I have on this item. Happy to take any questions you might have.
All right, any questions for Mike?
Are we adding to our renovations now that we're moving that interest over from Fund 60?
We're putting a little more into it. So the plan was carpets, lights, and a little furniture. Now we're just adding a little more furniture. So we're, I guess, material, not necessarily, but a $100,000 worth of furniture goes a long way. As we've discussed, you've been in our libraries. We have not updated those for over 20 years. And so it's time for some carpet or some new flooring, some new lights, and then more modular, useful furniture. So, Mike, what were we talking about in addition in each of the libraries?
Well, we had generous donation from the foundation to
Correct.
kick that off, so that was a fantastic start. We did have some money budgeted
Earmarked for
for
that.
this and earmarked already, and so we've been able to add about $100,000 to $120,000 for each of the 3 libraries. We're trying to spread that equitably. It is primarily going toward furniture. Some of the bigger items, as you can imagine, that does tick away pretty quickly. So we're not able to get all of it done, and we're taking a phased approach, but our building administration, our principals have been fantastic, Cheryl and Chuck, and so we're excited to get that going.
Cheryl, Chuck, and CDW has helped along the way and work with principals in each building. More modular furniture, more collaboration stations, more chargeable stations within the furniture, things that it's time. And so at least this was a good start. We anticipate completion, probably like a 3 to 5 year look, but this is a solid start and a very useful space. If you go to our libraries in the morning, our students are in there, and so these areas will be used throughout the day.
Mike, you may have covered this, I might have just missed it. The purchase services, it's up about $1 million. What goes into that? Is that
Which page are you looking at?
on page 3? Budget expenditures, all fund purchase services. It's up about $1 million.
Some of that was the cleaning costs for Lockport North.
Okay. So
there's 3.
Lockport North, listen. For Lockport taking in Lincoln Way North. Cleaning costs had a big part of that.
Okay. And then that would be offset by some of the revenue that they're going to be kicking in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then, as I had mentioned, one of the other pieces that we've done is we had to amend a couple $100,000 of that. Is what happened was ComEd gave rebates for electricity costs, and so as I have mentioned, electricity is trending higher. What happened is last year, say we spend $600,000 to $650,000 in FY22 on electricity at Lincoln Way East alone. Okay, just as a ballpark. That dropped down to $400,000 in FY '23. So we're thinking that that's fantastic, right? Thank you for the rebates, and that's wonderful. ComEd has issued a carbon tax and said, well, we're gonna take that back. We're gonna recoup that. But the doubly bad part about that then is not only are they recouping it, but our costs are back to normal. So now we're almost seeing that spike way up year over year, more than you would anticipate. And so I wanted to account for that so we have a better baseline moving forward. And so that's part of the purchase services as well. That's a good question.
Any other questions? All right, so hearing no further questions, I would need a motion to accept the tentative amended fiscal year 2024 budget as presented, to place it on display, to direct administration to schedule a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up, we have the second reading for textbook adoption.
So yes, in your backup materials is a quick memo for textbook adoptions for forensic science, astronomy, geology, and meteorology, and American civics. Kind of the estimated cost of each. Obviously, this will just be a portion of our overall expenditures for textbooks, as we've talked about. We have kind of a 5-year rotation going in a cycle that we've leveled out somewhere between $300,000 to $500,000 a year. So this includes textbooks and then obviously the online resources and support for each one. So we would just ask the board to approve the adoption of these textbooks for the 24-25 school year.
All right.
You guys read them all right? Board members, yeah?
I tried. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further questions?
Do you have to still do the online licenses every year? Do you still have to pay for them?
Most of them come 3-4 years, Dr. Fury?
Usually, actually, about 6 years.
6 years, even better. So, yeah.
All right. The vote is open. Are the textbooks going to pass? I think, who are we waiting on?
Mr. Costick.
Oh.
There it is. Aye. Was hiding behind the memo. I was sort of waiting for it to pop up.
The vote is unanimous.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Stressful.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
Still reading the text.
Yeah.
Let's finish up forensic science real quick, just before I make sure.
Second, next up is the second reading for the school handbook changes.
Included in your backup materials is the draft for the parent-student handbook. All of these proposed changes have gone through District 210 advisory. So we've accepted those recommendations and included those. There will be some slight modifications with some of the personnel there on the second page as we get ready to print this for the fall. But happy to answer any questions. I think the 210 advisory has made some positive changes, and we think it's ready to go for another year. Need anything to add?
Okay.
I agree.
All right, we have a motion to approve the second reading of the school handbook changes. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
No, thank you for that work. I know it's tedious and it's kind of long, but it's very well received, so thank you.
It was actually pretty, there were some key things that I think have been missed for some years, like the undocumented, documented absences, so.
Right.
At one point in time, it was needed, but yes, it was done.
Great. All right, vote is open.
The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the district brand enhancement.
As part of our strategic planning, branding was one of the items that came up. So we're asking the board tonight to accept a proposal from CEL Marketing for PR design for branding and design services. Jenna had gone out to bid from 3 different companies, received proposals, checked references, background, looked at their work of what they've done with other districts, and we recommend CEL for a cost of $26,860, broken into 4 payments over the year. And so what that will entail, they will help us with new color, a new logo, a new overall branding schema, something that is probably time. And so we would recommend moving in this direction. We've built it into our PR budget. It's covered for next year, and we'd probably begin about 2 months, a month. Tomorrow. Jen's ready to go. So we have stopped purchasing the brown and tan district flags. We stopped that about 1.5 years ago. So the supply is running low. So it would be time to maybe look at an
Collector's
update.
item pretty soon.
A collector's item, that's right. But we will bring the process back to the board throughout the year as we go through this. There'll be some options for the board to discuss and decide as we go through this process. But that was one of the things that did come out of strategic planning is, maybe it's time for a little bit of a facelift on the logo.
Okay, there we go. Do we receive any other proposals, and was this the best one, or we just?
Yes, so we received proposals from 3 different companies and went through the cost and then went through the references and resources. This particular company has done the most work with their branding with schools throughout the country. This is the Minnesota company. Yeah, they're based out of Minnesota, and we were really happy with the work they've done with some other schools.
Does it include web management or web design of the webpage?
Jen, what are the primary?
'Cause I know that'll all have to be changed
Yep.
too if you're doing it at other places.
So they will provide deliverables at the end, Canva templates, if you're familiar with Canva. So I do a lot of the designing of the graphics that go on our website, so they won't actually do any website management for us, but they'll give us the products and we can go and implement them on our website.
Perfect, thank you.
Is it just mainly the main logo? Are we doing all 3 schools too?
We're not doing the schools, we're not gonna touch those.
Just the main
Those are
prop.
sacred,
Okay.
we're not gonna touch the schools. They will help us with branding and colors, but brand is more than just the logo. It's gonna be clarifying like the mission, the values, and maybe some key messages or statements. If you think of like learning today, leading tomorrow, or community of leaders, that kind of thing, like messages that we can include in all of our communication. So they'll help us with that too.
The first strategic plan that we did, that I was part of, 8 years ago now, or we had district rebranding in there.
That was part of it.
But
And
that also cost money back then.
correct, it cost money. We didn't have $26,000. I'll be completely honest with you.
Right.
So we're doing
2,600, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're to a place where we were able to work this into the budget, and that was part of the process the last time, and yeah, it was the $2,600 a year. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to accept the proposal from CEL Marketing PR Design for branding and design services as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote was unanimous, motion passes.
You can paint the decal on the side of the corporate jet now.
Yeah.
At least pull the one off the podium.
Right.
They come right off.
All right, next up, we have the copier RFP and lease agreement.
I think I mentioned last month we had 2 items out to bid, or RFP. One of those was copiers, the other is driver's ed vehicles, which is also on tonight's agenda. I'll talk about copiers first. Our fleet is at the end of life across our schools. Our lease is our 5-year partnership with Proven is expiring. Their repairs have been ticking up at a rate that's no longer sustainable. So we did issue an RFP for 55 copiers, proposals due May 7th. We received responses, from 4 vendors, and a summary of proposals is linked within your cover memo there in your packet materials. Vendors proposed a mix of manufactured hardware, Canon and Konica, different software and print solutions. I did spell out the details in the memo. I will spare you going through all of that unless you have a specific question. So without becoming too technical, I'll just summarize to say that Proven once again gave us the most complete proposal aligned with what our needs are for our staff and students. Their proximity in Tinley Park is an added bonus for us, just from a customer service standpoint. They're local, they're right here, and they do a nice job. Proven last time, 5 years ago, was not the lowest responder, and so this decision was made easier in the sense, as you can see here, that they are. In something like this, in an RFP process, it's not just about price. It's about, we wanted Canons, we want good customer service. So there's other criteria, but it does help when they're low. Their proposal includes all repairs and maintenance. Total cost over 5 years is $900,924. For context, that represents only an 8% increase over 5 years ago. So given where inflation has been over the last few years, I feel that's very reasonable. They didn't even change their per copy rates from 5 years ago. So that's great for us. I feel really good about it, and so would ask for board approval of a 5-year lease agreement with Proven IT.
So we wanted to go with the Canons, and the other two of the bidders came in with Konicas.
Konicas, and it's very similar to Toshiba's. The drum life on the Canons is just better. I know that was feedback from site visits done last time as well. We did also take a site visit. We looked at also the print solutions, Uniflow versus PaperCut. Cheryl and Ariel out of our business office, we went. We've tried to be really thorough about this. We think our staff and students are going to be excited about the machines, but what we want is to be, we really use them, so we want them as durable as possible.
And they're local, so they can come.
Yep.
Fix it.
And by leasing instead of purchasing, if we did get a lemon or if we did get one that just, the repairs just keep happening, they will swap that out at no cost to us.
Will there be a change in the process by which people need to print with the new printers? Like, they're not gonna have to change their whole, they're gonna have to badge, or they're gonna have to type in a code that's not been happening before?
The only changes are positive ones.
Okay.
So whereas they've entered a code, now they can fob.
Okay, perfect.
Where they had one way to print, now they'll have 3 different ways, one of which is the same. So on day 1 of the school year, we made sure,
struggle.
no training, no changes,
struggles.
we want staff happy.
Perfect.
Yep, you bet.
That's
You
the
bet.
winner.
You
Okay,
bet.
thank you.
Mhm.
Any additional questions for Mike on the copiers? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the multifunctional copier lease as presented.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the workers' compensation insurance renewal.
District receives our workers' comp insurance through the Illinois Counties Risk Management Trust. DeGus and Associates presents program performance data, so all the work comp claims and settlements that have been issued over the last year. They use those data to give us a renewal quote every year. That quote is hyperlinked in this agenda item's cover memo. Premium for FY25 is $438,308. That is down from a year ago based on these data, which is great news. So,
All right, any questions on the work comp renewal?
No one get hurt.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well, that's.
Yeah, we had a good year.
All right, hearing no questions, can I get a motion to approve the workers' compensation insurance renewal for FY 2025 as presented?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Vote is open. The vote is unanimous, motion passes.
All right, next up on the agenda is the driver's ed vehicle bid and lease agreement.
Phillips Chevy, as you know, we have a current agreement for 9 driver's ed vehicles. That agreement expired. We have done 2 single-year extensions, just while their vehicle market was sort of in flux. We did agree at this time it was probably right to go out after a couple years of extensions to go back out to bid. So we did that in April, had a scheduled opening on May 9th. We did personally contact several local dealerships out of fairness because dealerships in the area, Lincoln Way businesses, only 1 bid was received. And that's just, I did ask. There are from dealerships, it's not necessarily something they're always interested in doing, with the exception of Phillips, who we truly do value as a good partner to the district. They have been phenomenal. Anytime that the cars have an issue, they're there for repairs. They did indicate their bid price will only partially cover their cost. Last time they did provide the cars for free. They're not in a position to do that anymore, as the GM incentive that they had been getting is no longer in existence. But they did agree that they would split the least cost with us. And so their bid was for $250 per car per month, which comes out, we need 10 cars this time around, so that's where we get the $30,000 per year for all 10 cars. I feel it's very reasonable, a refresh, in our driver's ed fleet. It's time. It'll give us more street time for the cars and keep them out of the shop with the repairs that have been ticking up. That's all I have.
I think it's still super generous that
Oh, yeah.
they're willing. I mean, that's not even the cost of a car if you were going to buy one. So
They're phenomenal.
I mean, that's
They're phenomenal.
amazing, and thanks to Phillips for doing that
And they
still
put
being
the,
interested.
they put the driver's brake in the car for
Right.
us, and they,
All
we
of the
just, yeah,
stuff.
they just comes ready to
That's
go.
amazing.
So,
Amazing.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none. Entertain a motion to approve the driver education vehicle lease as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Could you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous, motion passes.
Next up on the agenda is the IHSA application for District Girls Wrestling Cooperative Team sponsorship.
so for a district to have a cooperative team, the board must approve that cooperative, and then we have to go through the conference also to do so. So our plan is next year for the first year, to have a girls wrestling program. The interest is certainly there. I anticipate at least 30 participants. It'll probably be closer to 50 by the time we get going. The program will be housed here at Lincoln Way Central. We've already secured a coach, as the position was approved during the most recent negotiations. It's now included in the bargaining agreement. We'll be able to utilize the north cafeteria and part of the north gym. This is going to hinder our ability to share that space with outside groups, but that's just part of the equation of continuing to grow our program. So we have to have some place for POMs and cheerleaders and basketball and wrestling, and so part of this will be us utilizing the north gym almost every evening, and everybody will be put on a rotation to share the, I don't want to say share the pain, but you won't be able to practice every single day from 3 to 5, and that's okay. But this is a great opportunity for our girls. It is certainly a growing sport in the state of Illinois, and one we're excited about. So I would ask the board that approve this recommendation for cooperative team sponsorship as presented.
And Scott, is this so this is a fall sport?
This will be, we have the deadline in the fall. It's a winter sport. It coincides with the boys' season.
Okay.
So it's just like, similar to basketball.
Okay.
Yep.
Just another.
Numbers-wise, when would this turn into, likely, when would we see this turn into all 3 schools having their own, no longer being a co-op, but?
I'm anticipating 3 to 5 years, Joe.
Just curious, yeah.
You know, what it will come down to is when we get to the point where we have multiple wrestlers at each weight division,
Gotcha.
then that's when we'll have to look to say, okay, we have enough, now we need to go. We'll grow several levels, so there'll be a freshman, JV, and varsity.
Okay.
So there'll be several opportunities, so there'll be at least 3 levels in each weight class as we begin. But yes, at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that point. But I anticipate us having a fairly competitive, if not very competitive, program to start the year next year.
Is there a feeder program for girls wrestling in the area?
Great question. I know that several girls wrestle
Yeah.
boys programs. Like I know the T-Birds that feed into here have several girls wrestling. So the Warriors, Junior Warriors, I know there is girls involvement. I don't know that there's a specific girls program.
Okay.
Are there other high schools? Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Girls wrestling?
Mhm.
Okay.
Junior high.
Cool.
Yes, there are several high schools now that have it. Yes, absolutely. Like this, the past 2 years, there's been at least 2 that I'm aware of. There's been a state series for just the girls, and that has grown significantly over time. So I would ask approval as presented.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve the district girls wrestling cooperative team.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open.
Just as a side note, this doesn't change our contract with teachers union for.
It's already in there.
It's in there.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
We put it in the new agreement.
The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up, we have under informational items, report of the Lincoln Way Special Education District 843 Governing Board meeting held April 23rd, 2024.
The 843 Co-op is continuing to finish hiring for next year, so I can bring you the names of those individuals. We're going to likely be approving another administrative position starting or at this next meeting. But the staffing looks great and the bus positions are filled, and they're continuing to keep getting monitors and keep hiring and training and improving the training for the staff that are currently working at the co-op. So good things.
All right, thank you. Anything for District 210 Advisory?
No,
Yeah.
our job is done.
There you go.
Our job is done. It was
Great.
done well.
FOIA requests,
Just in your backup materials, I believe there was one this past month.
buildings and ground report,
Nothing to report, but the update is provided in your backup materials.
community relations report.
The same thing, backup materials. It's been a busy spring.
And the quarterly insurance report.
So once again, provided from STUM. We'll be switching over here as we start the new fiscal year, but just kind of an update of where we are in our plan performance, and that's something that we kind of cover monthly as well.
All right, fiscal year 2025 budget calendar.
Just an update for the board and the community on where we are in terms of budget-wise. So, the June 20th, we'll have a preliminary 25 budget presentation, and then we will work to really refine that, and then be back in August, ready to go again for the August, September for the upcoming year. Just wanted to, particularly for the board members that will only be going through this process for the second time, just kind of lay out where we would be month by month.
Next up is the first reading for policies.
Policies are included in your backup materials. Kind of put the cliff notes there in the superintendent's notes. If you have any questions between now and June, let me know. These are primarily from our service, but we did add one policy at the very end. No, I'm not gonna, okay, there we go. Standards for managing buildings and grounds, that a prior board approval is needed for all renovations or permanent alterations to buildings and grounds when the total cost will exceed $12,500. We would ask to move that to $50,000. $12,500 honestly isn't much, but including the cost equivalent of staff time. It's not, it's not intended to discourage efforts to improve appearances or buildings and grounds that are consistent with the designated use of those buildings and grounds. We're still going to tell you, but there may be maybe times where we just need to get it done, and then we come back and say, okay, we spent this money, we're hesitant to ever do that if it's above 12.5, but that threshold, as we know now in the industry, can't do much for 12.5. So, but we can certainly talk about that. Mike, anything to add to that?
The $50,000 is standard and aligned to Illinois school code.
Yeah.
So
We just
that's
haven't
the reason
we
for the
haven't-
recommendation.
We haven't updated ours. Of course, we didn't ever have 50,000.
All right. Next up is the legislative report.
Well, we've managed to get through without much chaos in Springfield, so we'll just kind of continue to monitor, but so far, so good. One thing, we will be moving to ACT. So after 6 years of SAT, now we're moving to ACT. That's a state contract. How many years have we been SAT? 6, okay. And this is a 6-year contract as well. So we'll do now ACT for 6 years. So bring it on. We'll just kind of, we'll go from there.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there will be a third company that will come up.
In 6 years, you never know.
It's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Go back to this.
All right. Any other district business?
Just like to welcome Dr. Tracy Miller this evening. She came out this evening. Tracy, thanks for coming. Tracy will be our new Director of Curriculum Assessment, and she comes from Lamont Brown Barrack, and she'll start July 1. We're excited for her to be part of the team. Tracy,
Welcome.
thanks for coming out.
Welcome.
Any correspondence
None this evening.
other than graduations this weekend?
Graduations are Saturday, and we'll have the traveling show ready to go. We'll
Yeah.
go from central to west to east. So we'll tour the district and graduate all of our seniors.
There we go.
Yes.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees and/or student-related matters.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are in closed session with action after?
Action afterwards.
Action afterwards. All right, so we are back in open session. I would entertain at this time a motion to approve the settlement agreement regarding student A as reviewed in closed session.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote? All right, and we have one additional item to take care of.
Two.
Two.
First, I'd ask that the board approve the non-union support staff salaries for FY 2025 as presented in closed session to include an average 4.99% increase for the support staff.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the
May
vote?
I manually call that vote?
Yes.
Dana Berthold,
Aye.
Katherine Johnson,
Aye.
Joseph Costick,
Aye.
Richard Lessine,
Aye.
Caitlin Olenek,
Aye.
Deidre Stokes, Aaron Janet.
Aye.
The motion is unanimous. Motion passes.
Thank you. And the last item of the evening?
And then I would ask that the board approve the administrative restructuring as presented in closed session with an increase of less than 3% to the administrative salary pool.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please call the vote?
Dana Berthold,
Aye.
Katherine Johnson,
Aye.
Joseph Costick,
Aye.
Richard Lessine,
Aye.
Caitlin Olenek,
Aye.
Deidre Stokes, Aaron Janet.
Aye.
The motion is unanimous. It passes.
All right, and with that, I think we are done for the evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are done.